Thanks, and I thank you so much for your patience today. I know we're extra late today, but we had an event happening in cabinet. So I'm here with you now. Our first presenter is Honorable Jeremiah Norbert, Minister with responsibility for Home Affairs, Crime Prevention, and Persons with Disabilities. Ready?
Morning. Oh, sorry, good afternoon. Usually when we come, it's morning time. So I just want to give a quick update on our inaugural Miku Jazz activity. For the first time in history, the constituency of Miku North will be hosting its inaugural jazz activity.
Sorry, good afternoon.
And
Usually when we come, it's morning
we've
time.
coined the term Jazz en Viège. And the reason we've coined the term Jazz en Viège is because the area where we're having the jazz activity is called Point Viège. And this is the longest peninsula in St. Lucia. I guarantee you and all St. Lucians that this will be the most scenic jazz site in St. Lucia. And you can come back after jazz to be your own judge. Our tickets are already out. We have our headliner, Sanchez, who is going to be there. The activity is going to be held on Sunday, the 27th of April 2025 from 3 p.m. And as I said, this is the first time that we are having jazz at the community at that level. We've had jazz at a smaller level, but it has been somebody in their personal capacity. But at the constituency level, this is the first time that we're having jazz, and I know that this has generated quite a bit of excitement. First National has jumped on board as our platinum sponsor. They're going to be they're willing to take on this initiative. Quite a few other sponsors have expressed interest in funding, in providing sponsorship for this activity. So we, the constituents and the people of Miku, we're very excited, and I invite all the media houses to join us on the 27th of April for our inaugural jazz activity. So that's it for Miku Jazz. I also want to give you a few updates as to some of the things happening at the constituency level and maybe touch on two things happening at the ministry level. So also at the constituency level, we have quite a bit of infrastructural development happening. We're actually at the closing stages of the reconstruction of the past year's preschool, a preschool which was gutted by fire way before this current administration came into office. We're actually doing the final touches with the hope of opening this preschool in a few weeks' time. And most people have been denied an opportunity because we don't have several early childhood development centers in the constituency. We have a situation where parents have had to sacrifice their own time and sometimes forego work opportunities in order to stay home to provide care for their children. So I'm happy that once and for all we're able to bring this we're able to put this problem aside, and we'll be in a position to open the Early Childhood Development Center. Also, we had a cemetery. I think we have been several conversations surrounding the Monrepo Cemetery. We've actually started burials there, although we've not officially opened. We've already started, I think, just yesterday. We had two funerals, sadly. Father and son were buried. Yesterday we had a funeral in Monrepo where father and son was buried, but it just goes to show that the cemetery is already operational, despite it being officially open. And we're just waiting on some minor infrastructural works to happen in terms of the washrooms, and I think one or two other minor roads, which will be happening very soon, immediately after the appropriation. We intend to get this thing started, and hopefully we'll to open the cemetery in its entirety by June or thereabout. We will to do an official opening. The Lapwet Road work is happening in the Lapwet Road, and we've seen quite a bit of work happening. Reno is the contractor, and as I said, this area, the Lapwet Road, has been a road that has not been given any attention for a prolonged period, many years. I can remember myself going to school, primary school, and I cannot recall any work being done, or maybe minor potholing, but any serious attention being given to this road from the time that I was going to school. And we're talking about 1995, 1996, maybe about 20 years, almost 30 years ago, and thereabout. So I'm happy that we were able to finally start the works, and as I said, the works are going very nice, and I'm looking forward to the completion of this project very soon as well. The Passia's water supply project, a project that we spoke about and a project that has created a bit of belly aching for my constituents in terms of we've seen the expansion of the community, we've seen the expansion of the constituency in terms of development, new pockets of development happening. However, we've not seen an increase in water supply commensurate with the development that is happening. So what it has done is has put the current system under quite a bit of pressure. The current system is also it has almost outlived its usefulness, if you want to call it that, because there is a high dependency on gravity, and the catchment area is very remote. So it takes, on average, maybe in terms of downtime, there are instances where we go maybe 15 to 16 days without water in the community. I don't need to tell you the amount of pressure it places on the public facilities like the schools. On numerous occasions, our schools have had to close because of no water in the pipes, or even the storage facilities like the tanks. They would run out of water after about 5 days. So eventually would have to close schools. So the passenger water supply project, the improvement project, has commenced. Physical works have commenced. We had a little hiccup in terms of acquiring some lands. This is a hurdle that we've gone past, and we've actually started physical works. This is a project that may take some time. Realistically, it's a project that will take nothing less than maybe around 18 months from start to completion. So I don't want anybody to get their hopes high and figure because we said that the project has commenced that next month everything will be A1. It is going to take some time, so I want to encourage constituents, especially those between the Pralin and Margaretwood Basin, to exercise a certain degree of patience while we work on improving the water supply for them in that area, in that catchment area. We also have in Miku quite a few. We actually just started work on a facility. I know they much talk about jetty project when we that was one that was a bit controversial, but we were able to navigate past that obstacle. The Miku jetty was completed, and then we had the toilet facility to accompany the jetty. What we've done now, and the idea is to put one project at a time to help redevelop the entire fishing complex. So what we're doing now is putting in the infrastructure to house the ice machine. We've already procured an ice machine through the Ministry of Agriculture under the UBEC program. Miku was one of the beneficiary communities, and we have a ice machine in stock waiting. So we're actually building the facility where this ice machine is going to be housed. So quite a bit happening in Miku North at the constituency level. Just to touch on one thing at the ministry level, I know one of the individuals seated here today had always been putting pressure on me about what is happening for persons with disabilities as it relates to that part of my ministry. I can say confidently that right now, because the last time I spoke to the press about the Ministry of Disability, sadly, because of the announcement, the time the announcement was made for the ministry, it was very close. I think the announcement was made somewhere on March 4th last year, which was already past the budgetary cycle in terms of when you do the planning and you submit your costs for budgets. So we were not in a position to put in place a structure for the ministry. So we were Ministry for Persons with Disability, quote unquote, in name, but in terms of having a structure where you can actually go out there and execute, we were not in that position, sadly, because of the timing of the announcement. We're in a new financial cycle, and this year the Prime Minister has made an allocation to actually set up the disability unit, and there have been an allocation is in the budget to hire the staff that is going to complement or that's going to make up the so-called disability unit. And we're looking to hire immediately after the appropriation. We're looking to hire the staff to commence the work. Some of the responsibilities of the staff will be immediately in the short run will be to work towards setting up what we call a disability registry, because what we've realized is we have quite a few individuals, and to give people a clear idea of what it means to be a person with disability, because we have a common misconception about people with disability. Some individuals believe if they have a broken finger today, that qualifies them as a person with a disability. And we need to, one of the objectives of the unit is to immediately go on a PR campaign, just to sensitize individuals about what the unit is going to do, what is the mandate of the unit, and what qualifies individuals as someone with a disability. Whilst we're doing that, we're going to work on setting up a disability registry, because one of the issues we realize now, there is no clear way to identify someone here with a disability in terms of issuance of cards or the proper stickers. So you go to Massey, for instance, and you may see somebody who actually has a disability parked in an area for disability, but their vehicle is not, you do not have the proper signage on the vehicle to be able to identify it as someone with a disability. And someone else may come and they may feel offended that it may be a able-bodied individual who came and parked in this parking. So we really want to eliminate, and these are low-hanging fruits that we can deal with right away. So the unit will be tasked with, whilst working on the national policy for persons with disabilities. Some time ago, I think I told you all that we had a consultant, through a time on his grant, we had a consultant working on a disability policy. We've gotten the first draft, second draft as well, and the unit will be tasked with reviewing it and to put in a national disability policy. We saw something similarly happen in Barbados, but it's going to require quite a bit of educating and sensitizing of the public, because we have a culture here where people are not very receptive to persons with disability, one where people still make fun of persons with disabilities. So we'll be going on a very heavy PR campaign in that regard. One other issue we've identified is persons with physical disabilities, like amputees. They have a challenge in accessing prosthetics. During the time when, during the course of the last year, we've been in consultation with the various groups involved and various stakeholders involved in disability and disability affairs, from the NCPD, the Blind Welfare Association, we've had several meetings in that regard. And a common cry from them is that, especially persons with physical disabilities, is the cost and access to prosthetics. I mean, today I can stand before you comfortably because I was able to, fortunately for me, I was able to get a prosthetic, and that is the reason that I can stand. And I think every person in St. Lucia, or everyone who has a physical disability, should be able to afford, because this is not a luxury, it is a necessity, and it can really help empower an individual. We have individuals who want to go to work, and they're unable to go to work because of their inability or their mobility issues. So we really want to solve that problem. Having said that, we've been in conversation and consultation with 2 agencies and other solutions who have shown an interest for persons with disability, and we've been able to identify a location. Very soon we'll be able to make a public announcement about the location. We're just finalizing a few administrative things, but we've been able to identify an area that we're going to, and Prime Minister has placed in the budget, I think somewhere in the region about $300,000 to start up the prosthetic center. So we're going, I know NCPD used to do it on a very small scale, and NCPD could have only provided, they use what you call donated parts, and they had to literally wait on a donor agency, sometimes from the Germans or wherever, to get donated parts in order for them to be able to build the prosthetics. And we operate in a time when we've seen what happened with the USCID. You cannot always depend on donor agencies, and we want to be able to become almost self-sufficient in that regard and have our own centers where we do our own procurement, train our own individuals here, get them certified, and be able to set up a prosthetic center that can serve as a prosthetic center, not just for St. Lucia, but the hope is to be able to serve for the OECS and serve more or less like a regional hub. So we have an allocation in the budget this year to be able to start up that center. That I am very excited about.
First, you mentioned the registry and identifying persons for that registry. I know you mentioned the blind welfare, the NCPD, but what about say persons deaf?
Yeah, so all stakeholders.
Association, like they fall into an association, or just really be part of the registry?
Okay, so and that is why we need to go on the PR campaign, so that we have the different cohorts or different groups of persons with disabilities. So you have persons who may have visual impairments, those persons who may have hearing impairments, some persons who have physical disabilities. Everything will be captured under the Department of Persons with Disability. But we're not going to take away the responsibility of these agencies already established. We're going to work with them and help them improve and provide some sort of guidance and direction for them, provide them with the financial support that they may require to advance the cause of their various groups. But we're not going to eliminate them or ostracize them in any way, but we'll more or less work with them to help them improve on what it is that they're already doing.
Just a little on the jazz. I used to know you.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
But I wonder, why was this site chosen? I mean, it's an initial, like, breaking ground for this. It's the attraction, it's out on the sea, but why was it chosen, and what would it entail getting the traffic, people to and fro from this side? How manageable would that be?
All right. So the idea is to have a park and ride service, and we've identified areas in the community where we can utilize for parking. But the reason the site was chosen, I mean, I can try telling you, but you literally have to visit there. And if you go there once, you'll understand why. I mean, I know I'm the parliamentary representative and I'll always have my bias. But truth be told, I do not know that you have two places. Auntie Emma may disagree, but I don't know that you have two places as beautiful as this area in St. Lucia. This is the longest peninsula. On either sides, you have water. And then you have, I can say confidently that this area is able to, and I mentioned to Dr. Hille, that this area is able to accommodate more people than the Pigeon Island National Landmark. It is able to accommodate more people. Given the length and given the general topography, it is able to accommodate more people, and it is a little more scenic than the beaches that you see when you drive down the East Coast. And that is why it's hidden, it's in a cove, it's serene, it's everything there is perfect. We also, given how pure and Point Vierge, I also want to give you a little background as to why we chose the name. Jazz en Vierge, the Miku experience. But the en Vierge means virgin in French. In Creole, if you say en Vierge, you're referring to jealousy. So this jazz is going to be the envy of every other jazz in St. Lucia. I guarantee you that. And we have an all-white affair to speak to the purity that you get with this particular location. And I say that with the utmost elation, but I know that even those persons who are going to go there and experience it for the first time, they're going to be more than happy. And what we've done is to allow most of our Miku people to be part of the jazz. The idea is to sell Miku as a community. We've heard the cries from constituents that there's not enough social activity happening at the community level, and we figure this is a perfect opportunity to give Mikudians a chance to showcase their talent. We have people like General Biggs performing, Scheffler is going to be performing, we have New Age, which is a long time band, and we're going to be coming back into the fore to perform. Quite a few people, Heart and Soul from Miku, quite a few people from Miku are going to be given. And then we have the TJ and the project, Tennyson John and the project going to be there as well. Going to be backed by Invasion Band, but most of it is going to be Mikud. It's going to be a perfect opportunity for the young creatives and the young artists in Miku, the burden, and those who are not so young anymore. Give them a perfect opportunity to be able to come and showcase their talent. And I know that it is going to be a day to remember on the 27th of April.
Yeah, just quickly.
Two more questions.
Yeah, in terms of the stakeholders involved in the preparation of that site, I know it has to be a little eco-friendly involvement. So, who are some of the major stakeholders involved in the setting up, in the management of that site?
Well, what we did, the committee is made up generally of people of Mikud, and one of the things I think we took into consideration was ensuring that whatever we did, that we did not damage or destroy the natural concept of what currently exists. So we had the heavy equipment was just to help with the road that is already in place, just to make the road a little more motorable. But in terms of the site itself, the site is kept in its natural form. All our cactus are still there the same way, our trees and shrubs are there the same way. We've done very little interference with the actual site, and the idea of moving forward is to keep it as pristine as we can, not to go and try to create something new. We want to keep it in its current form so that when you come, you can experience the natural Point Vierge and not a created Point Vierge, if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay, during the debate estimates, you mentioned that under the crime prevention, I guess, ministry department, that you will be hiring a research officer.
Yes.
Would you be able to expound on what that research officer will be doing, and Also in relation to the development of this comprehensive national plan to deal with the root causes of crime, as you were tasked with when you were appointed.
Yeah. So, you would have realized the same problem that I had with the disability unit would have been the same problem that existed with the crime prevention unit, given the same problem, the time of the announcement, that there was not the funding in place to be able to hire anybody during that time. This is why this year we brought in the research officer to work under the crime prevention unit. His job is to be able to do exactly what you mentioned. Look at what already exists. We have a situation whereby we have certain programs already in existence, like, or some of them that were in existence, like the Community Reintegration Program, CREP, where we worked closely with Bodley. We had the Violence Interrupter Program, where we had peacemakers or persons who would have trained as peacemakers who were convicted before and have had a change of lifestyle and they want to become role models to young people. We went through the training. However, we really had a spoke in our tire when there was the stop order placed on the USAID funded programs in St. Lucia. And these programs were then, although they work closely with the Ministry of Crime Prevention, when these programs, when the stop order came, it really caused us to now rethink our position as it relates to accepting help from outside, because it really disrupted the programs. So the research officer is now tasked looking at what these programs were doing, who were the targeted individuals, at what cost will it come to government to continue these programs, because we're not getting the funding from the donor agencies again, like USAID. So at what cost will it come to the government to be able to continue with these programs, and who are the various stakeholders currently involved in the crime prevention efforts, and how can we coordinate under a national, or more or less create like a national coordination unit, so that from the Ministry of Crime Prevention, so that we can now coordinate from our department. So that is the responsibility of the research officer, to go out there, look at the programs already in existence, what needs to be done, where the gaps exist, what needs to be done in order to be able to help close on these gaps, and see how now we can work on putting together a policy that is going to cover every nook and cranny of society.
Does this person have a timeline?
Yeah, he's, we gave him, he's coming in for, and I'm sure when we get to know who the gentleman is, he's a St. Lucian himself, trained in Taiwan. He has a PhD in crime prevention himself. So he's coming to the ministry as a former policeman as well. So I can let the cat out of the bag for this morning. And we're going to give him in the first instance 12 months to try to put together. Because it's going to take some time, and he's going to have a small team to work with him, because it is something, we do not want to do something in a haphazard type of way. It is something that is going to be comprehensive. We need to take into consideration some of the dire issues that we are faced with now, and how do we traverse them, how do we get past them. So it is not something that is going to be rushed. So we are going to give in the first instance after the budget, somewhere in the period of about 12 months, to see if he can help put together this document for us.
What's his name?
Dr. Montel Felix.
All right, that's it. One more question? One more question?
Just one more.
Training?
Just one more. I know it might not have been during your tenure, but we know previously there has been a lot of task force. I mean, I've attended few of them at the Ministry of Infrastructure. There was a big task force with different stakeholders, a whole day, 2 day. Did that ever proceed to a next level, or has it been, pushed aside? Is there any network in what has previously been proposed to what is going to take place now? Is there
I'm not sure. The only task force I can speak about is, I think Prime Minister would have announced some time ago that as it relates to dealing with the tariffs and dealing with persons who involuntary deportation, that we have established 2 task force then. I can tell you that we've prepared the terms of reference. I think Honorable Hippolyte would have given you all an update as to where she was with the commerce and tariff as it relates to my part of because I'm heading the task force that deals with the deportation component. A few individuals have been, and as we've said, and Prime Minister has expressed that sentiment as well. There are St. Lucians, and we are more than happy to welcome our St. Lucians home. We have certain protocols already in place. We have certain SOPs that are in place as it relates to dealing with persons who may have had run-ins with the law in a foreign country. We have certain things already established, and we're just going to, the task force is just to ensure that there's some level of coordination in terms of when people come here, how we deal with them, and how we get them to reintegrate into society. So That is the only task force that I can speak about this
How
one.
many people are you expecting?
I cannot tell you how many we're expecting. All I can tell you is currently we have less than 10 people have returned to St. Lucia.
Y'all have not communicated, because previously we would have had the Prime Minister, I'm not too sure it was yourself, saying that you would have had to have communication with Washington to find out how
This
many
communication
people-
is constant because it's not a situation where they just pluck a figure from the air. They too are doing their own work. So this communication is constant. So what we can speak about is what has happened, and as I can tell you, we have less than 10 individuals who have returned to St. Lucia, and we're more than happy to run them through the processes and get them back into society.
Do you have criminal
final
records
question.
or
This
just?
is your final question.
No problem, yes.
Thank you.
Madam Press Secretary.
Thank you.